if you're wondering, yes, this video is late, but I did watch Justice League X RWBY Part 2, and I gotta tell ya, it is very entertaining. Was it good? Yes. Was it great? No. Was it bad? No. It was a good, entertaining movie. A popcorn flick, basically. And I got some notes here. And we're going to go over those notes. So to kick things off first, a little bit of background information. And yes, this movie does take place after Volume 9 since Team RWBY are in Vacuo. However, later on, we find out that the Justice League arrived a couple days arrived in their world a couple days after the whole VR thing, or it felt like a couple days to them, while for Team RWBY, it's been weeks. So time in both universes are different. But of course, we also have to address the elephant in the room. The member of the Justice League, Black Canary, is introduced in this movie, along with a couple other interesting cameos and appearances. But yeah, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Starting off with a recap of Part 1 from Ruby Rose herself. Yeah, she recaps the entire events of Part 1. And then after that, we see the Justice League return to Earth, with Black Canary addressing the situation like there's unknown weird creatures attacking Earth. To find out, and the Justice League found out that they were Grimm, which is interesting, since how did they get there? We'll talk about it when we get to that. And then, of course, later on, we find out that Killer Croc is actually in this movie, played by AEW's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, or MJF, which is actually pretty interesting. And to be honest with you, MJF isn't half bad as a Killer Croc. Heck, I guess you could say MJF did better than Megan Fox did in Mortal Kombat 1. Okay, let's move on. Come on, so Croc and a couple other villains like Weather Wizard and Mirror Master, they were out actually protecting civilians rather than doing their normal villain duties, like stealing and robbing people. But here's the thing, what good is a world if there's no world to rob? Am I right? So they had to help the heroes temporarily. Cut to Team RWBY in Vacuo. This is actually one of the previews that we get, with Team RWBY fighting off some Grimm in the desert, and of course RWBY acting recklessly. There's another preview of Yang putting her foot down when it comes to RWBY's recklessness. So we already know about that. And as Catwoman and Riddler were mentioned by Vixen during Batman and Vixen's fight with some of the Grimm. So that's interesting. And Cyborg appeared, and then of course we find out that Kilgore is back, and he is possessing one of the Grimm. It turns out that the Grimm here are actually modified by technology, I guess. Both modified and are also evolving. But by who? And also, Batman was poisoned. Like, the Cape Crusader himself poisoned. Interesting. So, yeah. And then, of course, the scene where Yang puts her foot down on RWBY's recklessness. But as Yang continues to press RWBY, Weiss recalls Atlas falling, which actually hits her pretty hard, actually. So yeah, there's that. Kilgore's plan or plan with this certain someone that he is working with, we'll talk about him later, is to basically kind of just stereotypical plan of just kill the Justice League and basically take over the world. However, unknowns to Kilgore, that's not really the entire plan. And of course the Justice League find out a way to contact Team RWBY, of course. Unfortunately, Jean, Nora, Ren are not in this movie, but they are mentioned. Well, Jean is mentioned by Green Lantern, but that's not really important. Weiss has a little talk with Klein about her whole family and the situation in Vacuo, until her scroll starts glitching with the binary code of 11, 9, 12, 7, percentage sign, 18, 5, which is the anagram that both Weiss and Batman decoded in part 1 to find out that Kilgore was behind this. Flash checks on Batman while he's slightly hearing voices in his head. I don't know if he's turning into Randy Orton or not. Who knows? And of course, Superman is here and is relieved. He's relieved that we finally got contact from Team RWBY. Finally. Team RWBY then finds an old Shnee facility, I'm guessing somewhere in Vacuo. Don't know where it is, though. Until alarms came on, old Atlas drones turned on, and Team RWBY starts fighting off the Atlas drones. Until a portal opened, created by Green Lantern, and then Team RWBY appeared on Earth, and their appearance have changed. Huh. So yes, Blake without ears, that is actually interesting, and and a lot of people are going to say, well, Blake without ears is just so weird. I was actually one of these people for like a tiny bit, and so I realized, oh yeah, faunus do not exist on Earth. And then some people are like, well, she could be classified as a metahuman, and I'm like, metahumans don't work that way. The Teen Titans, Fire, and also Green Arrow were mentioned, as well as they were technically helping around, taking out the Grimm. And then, of course, some of the Grimm are evolving and gaining abilities to counter the Justice League, like some having tentacles to wrap around Black Canary's throat, some that have kryptonite on their chests to counter Superman, some actually have Black Canary's ability to screech, and a couple other things. Heck, a couple of them try to even hack into Cyborg. We'll talk about that later. So we decided to split the team up, although Batman is still injured, so his ass is still in the Hall of Justice. Yang, Superman, Wonder Woman, and RWBY go to Central City to help out Vixen and Green Lantern. Actually, no, not Green Lantern. Vixen and Black Canary. What am I talking about? Green Lantern, Weiss, Cyborg, and Blake go to Gotham to find an antidote. While Flash, I think, stays behind, or he goes to Metropolis to help out. I don't remember. And also, obligatory Joker and Harley Quinn cameo. Nice. Nice. An epic team-up with Yang, Vixen, Wonder Woman, and Black Canary. That's always fun. Superman also notices RWBY's recklessness during their mission, which doesn't make him perturbed, but makes him kind of curious and concerned. And also, in this new world, Team RWBY, well, not Weiss, Blake, RWBY, and Yang have new powers. RWBY has a teleporting power similar to her semblance, although it does not leave any flower petals behind. He just teleports. Blake has a interesting shadow ability that can hide people. We'll talk about that later. Can create like a defense barrier, spikes, projectiles, etc., etc. And Yang has this interesting firepower that kind of simulates her using her gauntlets, which is nice. And then, of course, Weather Wizard and Mirror Master appears, and they're apparently helping the heroes fight off the Grimm, because, again, there won't be a world to rob if there's no blah blah blah. Anyways, cut to Weiss finding an antidote at the frickin' pier at Gotham City. I don't know why there would be an antidote there. But, of course, the gun that she has is Mr. Freeze's weapon. Team RWBY have unique weapons that are basically, I think, Batman villain related. Like again, Weiss has Mr. Freeze's gun, RWBY has Scarecrow's scythe, Blake has Deathstroke's or Slade's sword and staff, and Yang has a flamethrower. Now, I don't know which Batman villain has a flamethrower, but I'm thinking it is Firefly. After realizing one of the Grimm, or after recognizing one of the Grimm that has poisoned Batman, Weiss knows that the tail of the Grimm resembles Tyrion's tail. Now, that is an interesting theory, even though, to be honest with you, has she even seen or met Tyrion before? That's interesting. Cyborg almost gets corrupted. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But every time Flash hears Kilgore's voice in his head, he is so obsessed with finding and taking down Kilgore. Then, of course, an epic fight on the bridge occurs. The giant Grimm with kryptonite on its chest. The Justice League, Team RWBY come in and start beating the crap out of it. To the point where Flash got reckless and almost got eaten. And RWBY, of course, saved his ass. Unfortunately, didn't give a thank you. Everyone returned to the Everyone returned to the Hall of Justice. They tried to deduce, figure out who was making the Grimm and who brought the Grimm over here. Names like Dr. Watts, Dr. Merlot, and Salem were mentioned. Turns out Watts is actually alive, so it's him who's been doing it all along. Yang and Blake sided with the Justice League on just taking a seat back, resting, and relaxing so they can be prepared to fight again. However, RWBY and Weiss think otherwise and think that they should get straight to the point. Although, to be honest with you, they look like they've been had the shit beaten out. Hey. And of course, Flash and Yang have a little heart-to-heart with Yang referencing her arm being cut off, and basically comparing that with Flash being possessed by Kilgore in Part 1. They felt, I guess, violated in a way, like they haven't been themselves. It's a little heart-to-heart moment. RWBY trains in the training room, and then turns into RWBY and Superman training. And then they have a little heart-to-heart moment with RWBY saying, I lost my parent, or I lost my mother, River Summer Rose, when I was young, and I hope eventually I don't become, or I hope that I don't, what happened to her doesn't happen to me. Superman, of course, says, I've lost my biological parents, in reference to his Kryptonian parents, not his adopted Earth family. Even though I think I think in the story both families die. I think, I don't know, I don't remember. But of course, Superman is very optimistic and doesn't really fear what would happen, I guess. And of course, Weiss works on the antidotes. Weiss and Batman have a little heart-to-heart moments on family and home, the concept of the word home and everything like that. Very interesting. Then of course Kilgore hacks into the Justice League computer and warns them about Watts. Obviously this is a freaking trap, obviously. Because why not? Then of course they discuss whether or not they should go with Kilgore's plan. Flash is on the fence of it, thinking it's obviously a trap. You idiots are not listening. Everyone is saying we have to do something. And Superman poses is we go there assuming it's a trap. Yeah, assume it's a trap. If it is a trap, bingo. And by bingo I mean they got back up. And guess what? It was a trap. Kilgore fucking lied. Right, in order to get everyone together, so their massive plan, so his plan and Watts' plan can come into fruition. As Watts appears in a mech suit with 2 additional appendages. To be honest with you, it's not the best look for him. And then of course Blake uses her new ability to uncloak, I guess, Weather Wizard, Killer Croc, and Mirror Master, as those 3 kind of help take down Kilgore or fight him for a bit. And then while the villains were on the run, somehow Team RWBY changed back into their normal appearances, like their remnant forms with their weapons and semblances intact. The movie doesn't really explain this, to be honest with you. It's just weird. It's just weird. Like, I don't know if I like that. And then of course the fight goes on, and it's a big epic fight. Although Watts keeps running and making Grimm appear like a coward. Here, the heroes try to use a hollow trap to trap both not Watts yet, but trap Kilgore. That backfired into the heroes getting trapped, and then the hollow trap turns into several different areas of remnants that everyone has been to, like Admiti Arena, the field in, I want to say either outside of Vale or Patch, and then of course Atlas is where the final showdown begins. Epic fight. But then everything goes back to Metropolis. Kilgore basically flip-flops in between different bodies. Like, when he first got trapped into the freaking hollow trap, he possessed Wonder Woman. When they returned back, he possessed Yang. Then he possessed the Flash for a bit, even though Flash had the plan to sacrifice himself to stop Kilgore. But that ended up not working, and Flash is still alive. Cyborg tries, of course, to hack the Grimm again to try to have them, I guess, shut down or try to get to Kilgore and weaken him. But that ended up making Cyborg corrupted for a bit. And then he just instantly stopped being corrupted and figured out, oh yeah, if I find the right one, we get to Kilgore, basically. Then of course Kilgore then takes control of Green Lantern. And at this point, Cyborg finally hacked and weakened Kilgore. Or Team RWBY then fights Watts and a bunch of Grimm to make Watts' ego basically reveal itself. Like, he's saying, like, oh, he's smarter than everyone else. I'm surrounded by idiots. You're all idiots. I'm the only smart one here. Well, Team RWBY makes up a fair point, saying, like, you basically partner up with an idiot to try and kill us. That's not very smart of you. And then Watts basically Watts, even though claims he's smart, says the most dumbest thing ever and actually reveals that he tricked the dumbass AI into that whole virtual reality thing. Then Kilgore takes control of Watts, has a little back and forth argument with him. The heroes trap Kilgore and Watts together in the holotrap. Heroes win. When Team RWBY are now back in their Earth forms for somehow. I still don't know the change. I don't get it. A little bit of a Shazam cameo in one of the monitors. It was a little brief. A little cool stuff. The Earth is saved, group photo. And Team RWBY returns to Remnants, and Justice League gets news about Lex Luthor. They go after him, movie ends. And this movie, I would say, is kind of on par with the first one, although not as better. And it's just like Across the Spider-Verse, where the story is just way too complicated than the first one, in my opinion. But still, I was entertained. I had fun. Although there were, again, some things that were still not explained too well that I wish needed explanation. But it's a crossover, so who cares? This movie gets a 7.8. Unfortunately, there was no special animated episode or animated DC shorts in the special features. I looked and sad. Anyways, that's it. That's it. There's only 2 parts to this whole movie series. There's not going to be a 3rd one. Hopefully not, because I don't want to do another review again and make it late. Plus, to be honest with you, I feel like DC and Rooster Teeth basically milked the whole RWBY and DC crossover dry with 2 comic runs and a freaking 2 movie series. I feel like RWBY needs to cross over with something else. Maybe our 4 teenage girls can cross over with a group of 4 reptiles who live in the sewers of New York and eat pizza and fight ninjas. I don't know. Sounds pretty fun.